Thank you all for joining us here for the 17th Ottawa Township Educational Foundation Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Thank you to all those who are attending here in person, and a special welcome to those who are watching our live streaming feed online. I'm Kane Farabaugh. I'm the Midwest TV correspondent for Voice of America. I'm also an independent documentary producer, and I am a very proud 1995 OTHS graduate and a 2020 inductee into the OTHS Educational Hall of Fame. I'm currently the president of the OTHS Educational Foundation, and for the last 12 years, I've had the honor of being your master of ceremonies at this event. Thank you for having me for another year. It's an honor again for me to be here tonight in front of so many talented and accomplished people from Pirate Nation. I want to take a moment here, and if I could ask those of you who are here tonight, who are previous inductees to the OTHS Hall of Fame, or family members representing the OTHS Hall of Fame members, would you please stand right now and be recognized? Thank you for making our school proud and for being here tonight to welcome more members into the club. I'd also like to take a moment for us to honor and recognize all those present tonight who have served or are serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. Could you please stand? On behalf of this school, thank you for your service to our country. It's now my honor to introduce you to Ottawa Township High School Superintendent, Dr. Mike Cushing. Dr. Cushing has been superintendent since 2015. He is a 1992 graduate of Marquette High School, and his wife Ingrid, who serves as the principal of LaSalle Peru High School, is a 1995 graduate of Ottawa High School. Mike?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please give Kane Farabaugh another round of applause as a thank you for being our MC for tonight's events. Kane, I promise you will return in a brief moment to introduce each of tonight's inductees. Good evening and welcome, Hall of Fame honorees, family members, and friends. On behalf of Ottawa Township High School's Board of Education, Administration, faculty, staff, and students, I would like to congratulate each of tonight's inductees. I would also like to take a moment to thank several people who made tonight's induction ceremony possible. I would ask that you please hold your applause until all are recognized. Thank you to the Decade, Nominating, and Selection Committee members for the time and effort that goes into the selection process. Thank you to those involved with the organization and decorating that is necessary to present tonight's ceremony. This includes Brad Johnson, Randy Green, Patrick Myers, and the OTHS custodial staff. Additional thank yous to Don Harris, Dan Isles, Susan McDonald, and Kelly Schmidt for their countless hours of work preparing for this weekend's events. Thank you to our band and choir students for performing this evening under the direction of band director Andrew Jacoby and choir director Allie Stakowitz. A final thank you to the OTHS Educational Foundation. The induction ceremony and dinner would not be possible without the Foundation's continued support. Please join with me in giving these individuals and groups a round of applause. As promised, it's time for Kane to come back to the podium. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to introduce my friend and fellow Ottawa Township High School District 140 Educational Foundation board member and our newly elected mayor, Rob Hasty, who was also a 1994 graduate of Ottawa High School, to tell you all a little bit more about our foundation. Rob?
Thanks, Kane. Established in 1993, the Ottawa Township High School District 140 Educational Foundation is a 5013C nonprofit private foundation that secures and channels private funds to support and promote the educational programs and activities of Ottawa Township High School students. Through generous donations, the foundation provides grants to purchase new equipment, promote innovative teaching initiatives, and augmented scholastic resources beyond the fiscal constraints of the school's normal operations. The foundation has provided approximately $500,000 in such grants and other support to date. In addition to ensuring that our students are exposed to the most relevant and ever-changing technology and other educational resources, the foundation is responsible for the Courtyard Project outside of Kingman Gym, the Hall of Fame, and the Student of the Month. Our hope is that through additional contributions and growth, the foundation can continue making an impact on Ottawa Township High School and the students of the district. One might ask why a public entity such as Ottawa Township High School needs assistance from a private foundation that is independent from the high school itself. The fact is that Illinois ranks relatively low among states in direct funding for its schools, yet the majority of more than 2 million students that currently attend Illinois public schools will stay to live and work in Illinois throughout their adult lives. The economic vitality, future growth and development, and quality of life that we all share will be impacted by this demographic reality. We believe that assisting in the pursuit of educational excellence not only enriches the lives of today's students, but also impacts our communities and collective future as well. The Hall of Fame was established by the foundation to inspire and acknowledge excellence in achievement, be it academic, the fine arts, athletics, or other distinguished achievements. In highlighting the accomplishments of inductees, we believe that current students will be inspired by the standard of excellence and accomplishments achieved by their predecessors, and therefore, we will better foster a culture of excellence and achievement. We are very pleased that the 2024 group of inductees establishes a high standard of excellence for those who follow. It is difficult to categorize our inductees into single disciplines because their accomplishments consistently exhibit excellence in a variety of endeavors. The interconnectedness of tonight's inductees is remarkable, with Ottawa Township High School as the consistent, enduring accomplishment. We congratulate all of you on your induction and achievements, and thank you for the example that you have set. We are proud of what you have meant to Ottawa Township High School and look forward to your induction this evening. Thank you.
Okay, so I had some help with the math here from a former math teacher and the son of a math teacher, Don Harris. So this is the 146th year of Ottawa Township High School. And I again welcome you now to our 17th Ottawa Township High School Educational Foundation Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony provides a unique opportunity to honor those selected. Inductees are selected by way of a three-tiered process. Considered for recognition and selection are individuals, OTHS teams, and OTHS groups nominated during an open application process in which anyone can put forward a recommendation for induction. The focus of the Hall of Fame is to recognize excellence in achievement, while a high school student, after leaving Ottawa Township High School, or a combination of both. Some honorees also may not have attended Ottawa Township High School, but are significant and accomplished contributors to the school, our community, and society. I'm honored this evening to have the opportunity to introduce you all to a very special group of 5 individuals and 2 historic teams. The central plaque on the 400-floor wall, where all of the Hall of Fame inductees' plaques are located, describes the overarching theme of the OTHS Hall of Fame. Each year we make it a point to read the following passage during the induction ceremony from that central plaque. In bold is the statement, "From ordinary beginnings, many, through determination, commitment, effort, and high expectations, have accomplished the extraordinary." I would like to personally thank all of the inductees for their numerous contributions. You make us all proud to be a part of Ottawa Township High School. Tonight's ceremony is about the inductees. This part of the script that you've heard before is something that I probably say each and every year that I do this, and so now is the part where the script varies, and it's exciting to be able to do this because here are your inductees for 2024. Our first inductee is Gary Vancil. Gary Vancil was a teacher and coach at OTHS for 30 years. He coached basketball, football, and baseball, served as head varsity coach in both basketball and football. During his 13 years as head basketball coach, the Pirates won 7 regional championships, 2 sectional championships, and an Elite 8 berth in 1984 and 1985, also winning the NCIC title 4 times. The 1982 to 1983 sectional champion Pirates were 27-3, losing to Peoria Central in the Super Sectional. During the period 1981 to 1985, the Pirates won 45 straight home games in historic Kingman Gym. Additionally, while he was a varsity assistant in basketball, the 1997 to 1978 Pirates went to the Elite 8 and won 2 sectional and 2 regional titles. During his 2 years as head football coach, the Pirates were 13-5 and co-NCIC champions in 1980. His overall coaching record at all levels exceeded 70%, and he was associated with only 3 teams that finished with more losses than wins. He was previously inducted into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame under the category of coach, and the Kewanee High School Hall of Fame has a distinguished alumni. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Vancil.
Needless to say, I'm very honored, humbled. I want to thank the foundation and the OHS Hall of Fame committee, especially Don Harris, Susan McDonald, and Kelly Schmidt for their help and communication and leading me in the right direction on what was happening. Last year, our basketball team from 84-85 that advanced to state was recognized. I wasn't able to be here for that, but they asked me to do a little video, and I really appreciated that. I'd like to congratulate all the present inductees and the past inductees. It's quite an honor to be included in that group of people. I want to send a special thank you out to Coach Mark Cooper, who last night, I did not know he was really going to do this, but I'm so indebted to the fact that he had invited me to speak to the team in the locker room before the game, and also invited all of our family members that were in attendance to come down to the locker room area and be there when I talk to the team. Mark has been such a support to me as an old retired coach that was here for many, many years. And I have appreciated him and his work here, and the young men that he's coached are very lucky to have a coach like Mark Cooper. And I thank everyone for being here this late afternoon, early evening, and also those that are watching on the live stream. I have family in California that I spoke with this morning that I know are probably watching right now. I'd like to introduce some of my family that are here today, or even if they're not here, they're here in spirit, and I've talked to most everyone today. My wife, Luann, we've been married 56 years. She missed one game during the 30 years that I coached at all the different levels. I coached freshman levels and everything, sophomore and varsity. She missed one game with a, 103 temperature maybe, and I told her she better stay home. She listened to it on the radio. We lost. I came back home, and she said, "I won't miss another game." And she didn't miss another game, home or away. Her support to me was above and beyond. Our daughters and their spouses, their husbands, wives, Kimberly, graduate, and Kimberly and Dave Mathis. Our second daughter, Kelly, and husband, Tom, Kelly and Tom McDonald. Third daughter, who's in California, Colleen and Scott Harrison. Our son, Keith, who is here, and his wife, Lindsay. And then we have a lot of grandchildren and now some great-grandchildren. Some of them were here last night at Kingman for that. Some of them surprised me, which was wonderful, driving in bad weather from mid-Iowa to be here. All those things are memories that's really what I want to focus on a little bit. Memories and thoughts of gratitude for me. as we go through life, as I kind of expressed to the team last night, you make memories and those stay with you. The wins and losses kind of come and go. It's always nice to win. It's nice to have accomplishments, but when it really comes down to the end, it's the love and memories of the people and the work that they have supported. I signed my contract. I student taught here in 1965, the winter, about this time of the year, I was a senior at Illinois State. I student taught here middle of January for 9 weeks. Best thing that ever happened to me. And I think I almost realized it when I walked in here for the first time. And I met Gordon Fiddler, who was head of the business department at that time, later became superintendent. Georgia Powell and Forrest Buck, who were in the business department, who were my advisors. Those people treated me so well and set me on the right path as far as teaching goes. I took a lot of pride in being here, just hardly ever missed a day. And when I walked up those steps from the faculty parking lot, I was always happy and proud that I was working at Ottawa High School, that I was employed here. And the coaching came a little bit after that, as Coach Novak and Coach Riley and many other coaches that I'm going to mention encouraged me to get into coaching if that's what I was interested in, and I was. So I had all the best of it, so grateful, and continued on the path as a freshman football coach. I have to tell a story, Holly, on Mr. Novak, Coach Novak. Holly was a student here when I was here, right? And I was a freshman football coach, and I scouted a lot. In fact, that's how I met Luann. I was scouting a game in LaSalle, Peru on a Friday night in 1966, Luann? Yes. No. 66 or 67, so, no, it would have been 66. We got married in 67. But anyway, I was scouting a game with a friend of mine. We went out to a club afterwards, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of her, and that led to me particularly wanting to always stay in Ottawa, even though she was a LaSalle Peru girl. But down on the sidelines at Dixon, I didn't have to scout that night. I was on the sidelines at Dixon, Varsity, playing. I think it would have been like 66, 67, 68 in that area. I was on the walkie-talkies, but I was a sponge, and I always wanted to be around coaches that were experienced. I'd hide in the locker room when Coach Novak was giving his talk before the game, and at halftime, I'm always trying to learn. Well, I'm on the sidelines that night at Dixon, and I was on walkie-talkies with coaches upstairs sending messages down that I could tell other coaches on the sidelines. And we scored a touchdown, and the referees called it back, 15-yard clipping penalty that was kind of questionable. Bill wasn't real happy about it. You know, he is very intense, as these guys know. And Coach Novak let one of the referees know that he didn't agree with that call in a kind of vociferous way. I won't go into the dialogue, but he let him know that he wasn't happy about it, and he said, "You stink." And the referee's marching off the first 15-yard penalty with the clipping call taking away our touchdown. And then when Coach Novak said that, he whipped out another second flag, threw it down for unsportsmanlike conduct. You know, you can't say anything to the refs. So he marched off 30 yards in penalties, the ref, and he turned after he got 30 yards away from where the action had started, and he looked over at Bill and he said, "How do I smell from here?" And Coach Novak said, "You still stink." Well, to finish it off, though, now we're like 70 yards away from the end zone after that. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 plays, but it was either one of the 2 or 3 plays we were back in the end zone. That's how fired up the team got, and the fans in the stands. So that particular penalty paid off in a sense, but I'll never forget it because I was amazed at how the team responded to that, and how Coach Novak was such a great coach, and I appreciated him asking me as a rookie to go help the freshmen. I had 50 young men that I had to take down toward the river. Most of them were the smaller guys physically, because we had 100 kids report for freshman football when I was in 1966. Barely had enough stuff to get them all in unis, but I'll never forget that. I had so much fun doing that, and it ingratiated me to the idea that I loved coaching. Football coaches that I want to mention, Coach Novak, Coach Riley, Coach Nelson, Coach Miller, and I do want to stop here for a second and mention a dear friend of mine, Ron Slack, who is in the Hall of Fame, deservedly so, head track coach for many, many years, involved in football, helped me immensely in the football program and eventually to become the head coach in 1979 and 1980, and was an assistant at that time. Ron's been a true friend. I view him as a big brother, an advisor. His wife Peggy and our family, girls were small at that time. I'll never forget what Ron and Peggy has meant to us. When I came, Bob Johnson, June Gross, Jim Sutherland, who of course was the head baseball coach, but he coached in freshman football at that time, number of years. Art Adams, Bob Rodanis, Roger Hill, some other names. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, but not intentionally, believe me. After the experience of coaching football in '66, Coach Riley asked me if I'd be interested in helping with basketball. There was no pay at that time for anyone, not any of the coaches. Eventually came around in another year or two. And I said, yeah, I'd love to get into basketball. And Jim Harris asked me if I would help him or wanted me to help him with the sophomores, and that was probably another big turning point for me. I didn't know how important it would be until I got into it a few years, but Jim asked me to help with the sophomores, and I'll never forget, his practices were so organized, like all the other coaches, and I tried to follow that. But I'll never forget, he would write on the blackboard, well, 3 words, defense and rebound. And other things will take care of themselves. Sometimes we might not shoot real well, sometimes we might, but we're going to play defense and we're going to rebound every game and be competitive. Never forgot that, and truer words could not be spoken when you're coaching basketball. So if you want to be competitive and play against really good people, you have to get stops, you have to rebound, and hopefully maybe you play well enough offensively that you have a chance to compete. And that's what I always try to instill and impress on our players. The accomplishments that were read a few minutes ago are events and memories that I'll always remember. 1979 football team, Steve Nelson, who I think is in attendance today. I had a chance to meet, well, it's Ellen, his mom, which we've known for years. We actually bought a house from Ralph and Ellen on the south side of Ottawa in our younger days. Met Steve's son. I think Steve might be in attendance. I haven't had a chance to really, I can't see anybody, to be honest with you. But Steve was an all-state football player in 1979, and I never saw or coached a better linebacker. He averaged like 12 tackles a game. That's his senior season. Glad his dad, Ralph, was on the sidelines with me and the rest of the coaches. And Steve could tell you after the first quarter, he'd come over to the sidelines. He knew which direction the offensive play was going to go. He learned quickly what offensive guard might be doing, how they're pulling, whatever trap action that we call, whatever they were doing. He smelled it out pretty quick and was always in the thick of things. Outstanding leader, linebacker. I'm not sure if, I know Kevin Holohan, Dennis Holohan, Rob Wasinski might be here. If you guys are, and Steve too, could you stand for a second? Oh, you're up there. Okay, great. All right, I see you now. But Dennis Holohan and Rob Wasinski were on the 1980 team. We went 7-2 and were co-NCIC champs. And those guys have been so successful in their lives and worked so hard. Rob got a scholarship to Northern Illinois University, then became, after graduating from college, been at Geneva. I think you're retired now, right, Rob? Right. And he, did you win the state championship one year? Unfortunately not. But Rob became a head football coach at Geneva High School for many years, had many successful teams. And I can remember when he got the job, he was in his second or third year, I think, at Geneva, and he asked to come into my house in Ottawa to go over some things, and that was so much fun to have a former player think that much of you, to come and go over some things about football. And I told him, I said, I know you're going to do a great job. If you work as hard at coaching as you did as being a good player, you'll do fine. Losing my place here. Basketball coaches, Coach Riley, Coach Harris, Jim Sutherland, Lyle Gunther, Bill Hamilton, Jim Moran, Tom Henderson, Kenny Kimes, real help to me. Ron Spand, Pete Armstrong, John Cassidy, Greg Sarver, Tim Burgess, Dick Fricky, Ron Bendis, Phil Gassman, all coaches that I worked with and admired their efforts. John Cassidy and Greg Sarver flew all the way down on a private plane to Carbondale when we were playing Peoria Richwoods in the Super Sectional in Peoria to scout Carbondale and Cahokia. Because if we won, if we happened to upset Richwoods, which we did, down 10 going in the fourth quarter, it didn't look too good, but it turned out great for us. And then also, while I'm getting off track a little bit, but the reception after that was unreal. I don't know how many of you might remember that. We beat Peoria Richwoods in the final seconds at the Super Sectional Carver Arena in Peoria. And so we were going to be going to the Elite Eight in state, and those guys were down in Carbondale scouting that game. And they were trying to find out if we won or not, but they told me before they left that day, they said, you better win because we're making this trip down there. And if we don't come back to your house after the game and celebrate, we're not going to be happy campers. But we had a big reception in the gym, Booster Club, Ina Rob, high school, all administration, and everyone. It was unbelievable. At that time of night, coming back on the bus from Peoria, and even the rest of that week, we didn't play badly in the Elite Eight. We shot well, but Cahokia was just on fire that night. But it was a great experience. The Red Rats, Mike Cassidy, Kevin Holohan, 82-83 team, Dave Moran. I want to send a special thank you out to Dave. We're thinking of you, Dave, in your battle. We know what a competitor you are, and you'll do well. So in conclusion, again, I appreciate it. I know I've taken up too much time, but my gratitude to this high school all these people here, administrators, faculty and staff, Booster Club, everyone has exceeded anything that I could ever thank them enough for. And again, thank you all for your attendance here this afternoon.
Our next inductee is Daniel Eilts, class of 1971. During Dan Eilts' time as a student at OTHS, he received 6 varsity letters, 3 in baseball, 2 in football, and 1 in track, also competing in basketball for 2 years, football and baseball for 4, and track for 3. He was class officer in his freshman and junior years. He then attended Western Illinois University, graduating with a degree in mass communication, serving as the sports editor of the school newspaper, and was a Blue Key Who's Who honoree. After graduation, Dan worked for a short time at the Jackson Daily News as a reporter, then at the Ottawa Daily Times, as it was known then, first as assistant sports editor for 2 years, then sports editor for 15 years. He continued to be involved with OTHS as a supporter and volunteer, actively engaged in the Booster Club, and as a statistician for football, boys and girls basketball. He has been passionately serving for years on the OTHS Class of 71 Reunion Committee, spearheading the Class of 71's multiple donations to the school and scholarships for students. He has served on the OTHS Foundation Board, was instrumental in the founding of the OTHS Hall of Fame, and continues to serve on its selection committee, as well as that of the Illinois Valley Sports Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2017 into the Illinois High School Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame as a friend of basketball and honored as a lifetime member of the OTHS Booster Club. He continues to serve the community in numerous other volunteer endeavors, and it's unusual if you don't see him at a football or basketball or some event at Ottawa High School any given day of the week. Could you please help me all in welcoming Mr. Dan Isles?
I got Suzy, yeah. Thank you, Kane. Oh, wow, I can't express how much this means to me. Today, I truly do consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Thank you to the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this prestigious honor. There are so many others to thank tonight, but no one more than my wife, Sheila, who understands my passion for Ottawa High more than anyone. She spends a lot of nights by herself while I'm off on a bus somewhere with the Pirates, going to places like Sycamore and Rochelle to do the stats for the team. Thanks to our 2 wonderful children, Drew and Elise. Drew, OHS Class of 2000, is here tonight with his wife, Jamie. And Elise, OHS Class of 2006, is here tonight with her husband, Matt. Also here are our grandchildren, Drew and Jamie's 4 kids, Colin, Josie, Maisie, and Max. Papa and Mimi love you. You can imagine how proud Sheila and I were of Drew and Elise for being honor students here at Ottawa High. But what was just as gratifying to us was neither one of them ever missed a day of school in 4 years here. I missed school once in 4 years. Missed a week my junior year. Yep, the week the picture of the 69-70 Ottawa football team was taken right here on the stage. That's the week. Measles. I had the measles. Nope, I'm not in that team picture. I would like to extend a big thank you to all the friends and classmates who nominated me. Bless you from the bottom of my heart. Gosh, considering this bitter cold weather, it's so awesome to see relatives, classmates, and fraternity brothers and friends here at the induction. It's so special that you're here on this special night. Congratulations to my fellow inductees, my very good friend, Gary Vancil. We go back a long way, don't we, Coach? My classmate, Sue Williamson, who has spent more time on this stage than anyone else in the history of Ottawa High directing all those great school plays. Holly Novak, when she sent me her resume so I could nominate her, man, was I impressed with the work she's done in the health field. And another great friend, OHS athletic director and highly successful girls basketball coach, Mike Cooper. Coop, I really appreciate how supportive and helpful you've been to me down through the years. My teammates, 69-70 football team coached by Hall of Famer Bill Novak, the best team I ever played for in any sport, in any level. Folks, but I must clarify though, I had little to do with the success of this great 9-0 team. I played left end of the bench. That's true. Congrats to the 1996-97 tennis team coached by another Hall of Famer, Tom Henderson. You know, Ottawa High means the world to me, so I'd like to take you on just a little tour around the school to explain why. Let's go up the stairs here. Behind us, the 800th floor, room 806. That's my home for our home football games. For an old stats guy like me, it's the best press box view in the country. When I look out that 806 window down to King Field, well, that's like a slice of heaven to me. Out on King Field, the game I remember most was 1966, when that great 66-67 Ottawa football team shut out LP, LaSalle Peru, 48-0. Both teams were ranked in the top 10 of the state. That is considered by many to be the best game by the best football team in the history of OHS. I was there watching it all as an 8th grader. Now ahead, 1988. The pole vaulting runway in Pitt on the north side of King Field in the spring of '88. I was sports editor of the Ottawa Times, and I was right there taking pictures of Greg Fenza, the day he set the state pole vaulting record, soaring 17 feet. Under the tutelage of great pole vaulting coach June Gross, Greg went on to win the state and national high school vaulting championships that year. Fast forward 2012, that amazing touchdown catch in the end zone, in the east end zone, by Michael Hermosillo to help Ottawa secure a second-round playoff victory over Rock Island. Yes, I am proud to say I nominated the 66 team, Greg Fenza, June Gross, and Michael Hermosillo to the Hall of Fame. Let's go out to the Henderson-Gunther tennis courts. That's the side of the old OHS baseball field where my favorite teacher and coach, Hall of Famer Jim Sudsy Sullivan, had enough confidence in me to bring me up to the varsity baseball team as a sophomore. I was extremely privileged to nominate Sudsy for the Hall of Fame, and it's so neat that our pirate mascot, Sudsy, I brought him. Our pirate mascot, Sudsy, is named in his honor. Back here on the stage, right here, I always look forward to annually presenting the class of 1971 $1,000 scholarship to a senior whose parent or parents were members of our class. No class in the 146-year history of OHS has given back more to the school than the class of 71 has. Across the hall, the principal's office. I spent a lot of time in there. Nah, not really. I'm just kidding, but I was too immersed in sports to get too much trouble. Let's go out the front door, down the steps, where the banners featuring current outstanding Ottawa students hang on each side of the sidewalk. Class of 71 is sponsoring 10 of those banners. Then at the front of the school, the new trees planted in 2020 after a derecho uprooted the old trees. Thanks to a suggestion from classmate Rose Varney, our class took the lead in donating the money for those new trees. Now a few steps east, we turn towards the passageway and into the O area. Our class of 1971 O area includes 2 benches, landscaping, a plaque, a beautiful class of 71 stone featuring and a beautiful class 71 stone featuring the pirate logo. Through generous donations from our classmates, the landscape O area was dedicated to the school by the class of 71 on June 11th, 2021, 50 years to the day that we graduated. This all transpired because we had some money left over from the tree donations. So we contacted the school. I asked what we could do. When the school suggested the landscaping project in the area in front of the passageway, boy, did we jump on that chance. For months, classmate Juanita Dixon and I worked closely with the school to design and complete the project. I think the inscription on our O area plaque says it all. The class of 1971 dedicates the O area to all the faculty, staff, and students of Ottawa Township High School, past, present, and future. Gosh, we're so proud of that beautiful addition here at Ottawa High. Now let's go back to the building and up the stairs to the passageway, where I have so many fond high school memories of hanging out there before school and at lunch. I'll never forget the day classmate Craig Capapani, God rest his soul, hauled a deer head up to the passageway and stuck it out the window. True. Let's go down to the 400th floor, the Hall of Fame Hall. I'm so honored to have nominated so many individuals and teams whose plaque hang on that hallowed hallway. Folks like Dr. Julius Hess, who invented the infant incubator, like Skip Madigan, who's in the NCAA Football Hall of Fame, like Harry Kelly, the two-time governor of Michigan, like Susan Carey, the head of psychology at Harvard, and like Ed Morse, one of the top nuclear physicists in the world. So how did all this start? Well, back in 2005, my good friend Jack Myers, God rest his soul, approached me with the idea of establishing the OTHS Hall of Fame. We presented the idea to Don Harris and the Educational Foundation. The groundwork was laid, and the Hall of Fame was established. Voila, here we are today. I'd like to have Don stand up and be recognized. Don? And Jack, well, I'm going to say this right now. I'll get to Jack in a minute. Our inaugural Hall of Fame induction took place in February of 2007. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, we did. Okay. Yep, I'm good. Our inaugural Hall of Fame induction took place in 2007, and now with tonight's ceremony, I'm proud to say we have 114 distinguished individuals, 17 outstanding sports teams, and a state championship music department enshrined into the hall. Unfortunately, Jack passed away before that inaugural 2000 induction. Jack, I know you're looking down at us tonight. Wish you were here. And for those of you who don't know, Jack was a key member of this football team, our leading receiver. Guys, you would agree, he had hands like glue, right? Last stop on my OTHS tour holds a special place in my heart. 92-year-old Kingman Jim. I am truly privileged to say I have seen over 1,000 games in events in historic Kingman. It's the best and loudest high school gym I've ever been in. And man, was I so happy in 2020 when Kingman was voted as the best high school gym in the state in the Twitter poll. These T-shirts that a lot of people have around school or around town, basketball is better in Kingman. Basketball is better in Kingman. I say basketball is not any better in Kingman, it's the best in Kingman. People refer to me as the Ottawa High historian. I find the history of Ottawa High fascinating, like the story of Charles Kingman. In 1932, Kingman Memorial Gymnasium was named in honor of Ottawa High Hall of Famer Charles Kingman. When I did the research for Mr. Kingman to nominate him, I realized how much love and passion he had for Ottawa High. Mr. Kingman was a principal here for 19 years and was instrumental in heading up the project to build the gym and the Manual Arts building. He played a vital role in designing the gym. Mr. Kingman passed away in 1932, just months before construction was completed. Man, would I have loved to have met Mr. Kingman, Charles Kingman, and shaken his hand. And I'll bet if he was alive today, he'd be so tickled pink, or maybe tickled crimson and white, to see how great his place looks. Well, I guess it's pretty obvious. Like Charles Kingman, I too truly have a love and passion for Ottawa High. And you can see how darn proud I am to be a member of the class of 1971. You know, every time I drive by the school, every time I walk through the passageway, every time I come up the O area sidewalk on my way to King Field or in the Kingman Gym, every time I marvel at all those people and teams whose plaque hang in the Hall of Fame Hall, I realize how truly grateful and lucky I am to have attended Ottawa Township High School. Again, thank you to the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this cherished honor. It truly means the world to me. And go Pirates! Thanks.
Our next inductee is Susan Williamson, class of 1971. After graduating from OTHS as an Illinois State Scholar, Sue Williamson attended Eastern Illinois University, graduating cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts degree. She later received a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from National Louis University, and her plus 30 designation also in curriculum and instruction at Olivet Nazarene University. She returned to OTHS as a teacher in 1979 and served here until her retirement in 2019. She was the English department chair for 7 years, directed 88 plays for OTHS over 40 years, and was a speech coach for 14 years. As a speech coach, she took 40 students to state, with 12 making the finals, and as play director has had 3 former students win Emmys, several performing in Las Vegas. One made it to Broadway, and another one won multiple Oscars in art production for Disney. Sue has written 6 plays and co-authored 7 children's plays. She received the LaSalle County Excellence in Education Award in 1998 and again in 2015. Was OTHS Teacher of the Year in 2015. Received the Omni Arts Theater Award in 2015 and was the student selected OTHS Homecoming Parade Marshal in 2018. And in the interests of fullest possible disclosure, I'm one of Mrs. Williamson's Emmy winners. She was the director of some of my fondest memories at OTHS, among them the musical production of Fiddler on the Roof, and coaching my state qualifying humorous duet act in 1995. In 2020, Mrs. Williamson she introduced me during my Hall of Fame induction, and I now have the high honor of welcoming her into the OTHS Educational Hall of Fame. Please welcome Sue Williamson.
Congratulations to my fellow inductees. It's wonderful to see you there. Thank you, Kane. Thank you, Dan, who nominated me, and for your kind words a moment ago. It is so good to be back in this space that I love. It's no secret, I adore the theater. And it's no secret that I also love this rather startling quote about the theater. The natural condition of the theater is one of insurmountable obstacles on the way to imminent disaster. All true. We have had floods, tornadoes, fire. It was not on your watch, Mike, just to let you know. We've had a broken foot during the last days of dress rehearsal, stitches in the mouth, the flu, COVID, and there may or may not have been a sword that sort of went through the fleshy part of an arm. And if that did happen, Mike, it was not on your watch. And occasionally, inadvertently, accidentally, a microphone may have been left on. The microphones the kids wear during performance, it may have been left on when the student left the stage and went to the bathroom. You know, it's amazing the amplified sound of a flushing toilet as it echoes through this auditorium. All obstacles on the road to imminent disaster. But there's a second part to that quote, and it goes, what do we do? Strangely enough, nothing. What do you mean nothing? It all works out. How? It's a mystery. All those things that happened, and hundreds more, all worked out, and I don't know how. We didn't have a bench. If somebody got sick or injured, we had to go on. We can't reschedule our game to play at another time. And somehow it all worked out. But tonight there's another mystery. And I have to say it's kind of a personal one. I'm not exactly sure, although I'm humbled and honored, I'm not exactly sure why me. I worked hard, I'll give you that, faithfully. But there's a lot of people that do that with their jobs. So as I started to ponder this mystery, I went back over the 40 years of directing, thinking. And that's when I realized it's not actually 40 years. That's 40 years for Ottawa High School. It's actually 60, because I started directing when I was 10. Now, most 10-year-olds want to play professional football, guys, or they want to be a doctor, or they want to play professional baseball, or maybe even be an orthodontist, my granddaughter. But a director, I'd written a play based on 101 Dalmatians by Disney. We won't talk about copyright. And I took it to my 5th grade teacher and said, I've written a play. Can we put it on? Can I direct it? Mystery. She said yes. And she goes, we'll have your classmates be all the characters. And somewhere in my little audacious soul, I went, do we have to? Can I go ask the 8th graders? They're older, they'll be better. Mystery, she said, yes. Down the hall I went, asked the 8th graders, will you do this play? Mystery, they said yes. Even when I told them, you have to bark, and you have to get on the ground on all fours. It wasn't a big deal. We did this little play at recess a couple of days later. I didn't even tell my parents. When I finally did go home and say, hey, Mom, Dad, we did this play. I wrote it, I directed it. My mother, hearing that I had 8th grade girls crawling on the ground, barking like a dog, was immediately concerned for my emotional and mental well-being. Was I being bullied? Were they being kind? Did I have any friends left? And my dad went, wait a minute. And he said, honey, look at her. She's been riding the bus home for a couple of days now. She's in one piece. And she's smiling. And my dad looked at me, good old German farmer. He looked me in the eye and he said, I have to know one thing. Did you have fun? And my 10-year-old answer was, and when I remembered that story, I kind of went, oh, maybe that can be the reason. When kids walk down that Hall of Fame hallway by our cafeteria, they're going to know why teams win and their photo is there. They'll know about Oscars and Emmys and inventing things. And they're going to go, who's that old girl? And I hope somebody's around to tell them, oh, her? She found a way to have a career where daily, despite obstacles and disasters, she could go, I know, we get a lot of those moments when we find that person to love. And the birth of our children and our grandchildren, mine are here. When you hold your elderly parent like they once held you. My mom is recovering from a stroke. And even a simple but beautiful sunset. But to daily have a job, a career, where you get to do that, I want somebody to tell those kids, find that career, find that path, so you can do that despite what happens. That's my hope. And I want to thank all the people that maybe will help get that message across. And I want to thank first my parents who kept supporting me even though I was directing 8th grade girls to be dogs. I want to thank my children, Jacob and Amanda, and my grandchildren, Lily and Liam. They've had to share me with everyone else's children their entire lives. Thank you. I want to thank colleagues who became friends as they helped me on the stage, most particularly Sally Taliani, Roger Am, Sarah Reckmeyer, Rosemary Walter, and so many more that I can't even mention. I want to thank administrations who supported me and put out the fires. Again, not on your watch. And I want to thank the Educational Foundation and the Hall of Fame Committee for giving me this final chance to stand in this very mysterious, wonderful place and go, thank you.
Now, I just want to point out, I'm up here reading from a script. I'm obviously reading and I'm talking to you, and that is no reflection on Sue Williamson's direction of me throughout my career. It's just that I have to keep to a timetable, so I'm making sure that I don't go over that time. But she's also set the bar by doing that entire presentation without a script, so that deserves some extra special recognition there too. So please forgive me for having to follow mine. Dr. Holly Novak, class of 1972. Daughter of OTHS Hall of Fame football coach Bill Novak and Bernadine Novak. Holly attended IVCC, the University of Illinois, and finished 5th in her class at Southern Illinois School of Medicine. She is board certified in internal medicine and cardiovascular medicine with over 40 years of clinical experience. Early in her medical career, she founded a cardiac catheterization laboratory and open heart surgery program. A community hospital for which she designed and developed a cardiac surgery program was named among the top 100 cardiac hospitals in the United States. She has served in multiple community hospital leadership roles, including chief of staff. Dr. Novak developed a rural health initiative with the Illinois chapter of the American College of Cardiology, and also designed and developed a community screening program for cardiovascular disease with a community hospital that screened 12,000 residents of McLean County, Illinois. She established and developed a cardiac practice that eventually included 10 physicians. She has been affiliated with 24 hospitals in Illinois and has been a speaker at numerous health fairs and symposiums. Dr. Holly Novak was honored as Illinois Valley Community College's Distinguished Alumnus in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Holly Novak.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, and I'm very honored to be here at the Hall of Fame. I want to thank the foundation, obviously, the Hall of Fame committee, and I'm so impressed by my fellow inductees. This is really quite an honor. Tonight, again, we're also honoring my father in the 1969 football team. It's been more than 50 years since my dad coached and more than 35 years since his death, and he's still being honored is a testament to the incredible coach and person that he was. He spent his whole professional career here at Ottawa High School, and forever it seemed as though Ottawa High School is actually part of our family. He loved this school, he loved coaching, he loved teaching high school kids, and thought that that was the most important part of his whole job. He loved giving young men the support and discipline that he felt that they needed, teaching them teamwork and hard work. That was his goal. But the most important to him was education, and for them to finish their education, to reach for their goals, and to give it everything you got to get to those goals. And that's who my dad was. So tonight I feel as though I'm back here with family. But as good as a coach as Bill Novak was, he was even a better parent. My sister Kim is in the audience, and many of you know her. She actually should be up here. She's much more accomplished than I am. We both had dreams of professional careers, and fortunately, we had the unconditional support of our parents. And in the 60s, that was pretty remarkable. My brother Kerry is also in the audience. He's been named to so many halls of fame for his football, I've actually lost count. And just to complete the circle, my cousin Gary is in the audience, and he's also in the Hall of Fame at LaSalle for his basketball career. At a family reunion this fall, we were talking about this honor, and a much younger cousin looked at me and in all innocence said, "And what sport are you being honored for?" Right, exactly. I can't even walk a straight line sober, so that really was funny. And so after we got through that, I really am very honored that I'm here for my academics and for my professional career, particularly with the last name of Novak. I did graduate from high school in 1972, but other amazing things happened in 1972, and the most amazing thing was that Title IX was signed into law, which changed the whole face of academics and sports throughout America. And I'm very honored to be here tonight also with the 1996-97 women's tennis team. I'm always very consistently thrilled when women are honored for their academics or their sports careers. My goal since 4th grade, I think yours was 5th grade, was to be a physician. And as a child, a very awkward adolescent, and an incredibly painfully shy teenager, I always felt supported in this dream. And when I came here to Ottawa High School, that support continued. It was from the teachers, the staff, the administrators. I always felt that support. But I have to say, for me, high school was a very painful experience, and I think that's pretty common for a lot of kids in high school. I came from a very small rural grade school. My sister was 2 years older and much smarter, and my dad was a legendary coach already and quite an incredible presence. And I heard the story today during our tour of the school that when Coach Novak walked through the passageway, there was silence. So that's what I walked into. When I came to this high school, I wanted to be invisible. That's what I wanted. But despite this, I survived, and most of us do, which is a good thing. And I not only survived, but eventually I thrived, and after many, many years of schooling, I did finally achieve my 4th grade dream of becoming a physician, and was able to practice medicine for more than 40 years. So my dream and my sister's dreams of professional careers were not denied because we were girls. And in the 60s and early 70s, that's a pretty remarkable thing. Now, I do have one searing memory from high school, and this is one that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to. When I was a sophomore, I decided to drop out of band. And my dad made me go talk to Mr. McKeever. Yeah, You can imagine how I felt walking down that hallway to go talk to Mr. McKeever and tell him that, yeah, band wasn't for me. I wanted to spend something else with that time, and music was not in my future. I still remember the feeling in the pit of my stomach and how nervous and insecure I felt. Now, in full disclosure, Mr. McKeever was incredibly kind and understanding. So once I was able to spit out the fact that I was quitting band, that all actually went pretty well. But my dad set me up with a number of lessons that day as a sophomore in high school. First, to advocate for myself, and also to know that deep down inside I had that courage. And it's years later, throughout my whole professional career, as I was walking into emergency rooms, patients' rooms, whatever room I was walking into to give people bad news, I remember that experience of walking into Mr. McKeever's office and knowing that I had the courage to do that. And that's what high school's all about. It's about those experiences, about having that space to learn and to grow. And fortunately, I had the wonderful experience of being here at Ottawa with the staff and the teachers that were supporting me. And what I know is that the Ottawa will continue to have the support and the love to support all of these students. The other incredible thing about Ottawa is how supportive the community is and giving support to the foundation and to the high school. So my big thanks to everybody. And that just leaves one thing to say, and I need the football team to help me here. Can we have a root hog or die? Thank you.
Our next inductee is Michael Cooper. Current OTHS Athletic Director Michael Cooper has served as an OTHS faculty member for 33 years and as head girls basketball coach for 22 years. He also served as an OTHS football coach for 19 years. His varsity girls basketball teams compiled a 410-177 record. That's 410 wins, 177 losses, which represents the most wins of any single sport in the 146-year history of OTHS. The Lady Pirates finished with 20 or more wins in 7 of the last 8 seasons that he coached. Under Coach Cooper, the Lady Pirates won 7 IHSA regionals and 7 conference championships, with his 2008 to 2009 team finishing 26-3 and winning a regional title. He was inducted into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2017 under the category of coach. The Illinois Athletic Directors Association Class 3A and 4A honored Michael Cooper as the Athletic Director of the Year for 2012 to 2013. He is also sincerely one of the nicest people and compassionate people that you will ever meet, and it is a true gem that we have him here at Ottawa High School, and it is my distinct honor to welcome Mr. Michael Cooper.
To be honest with you, I'm used to standing at this podium telling our athletes what they can and can't do and how to get themselves in trouble. So, first of all, I'd like to thank Kane, Dr. Cushing, Mayor Hasty, and I'd like to thank the Ottawa Educational Foundation for this wonderful event. The time and money they put into honoring the inductees is special and a night that we'll never forget. The contributions they make to the school for education and fine arts needs are incredible, and a reason why we are a step above most schools in the state. I'd also like to congratulate my fellow 2024 inductees. What a great group of people that have accomplished so many great things. What makes our Hall of Fame so special is that it's not an athletic Hall of Fame. It's an all-inclusive Hall of Fame for all the great people who have ever been involved with Ottawa High School. There's nothing in the world I like doing more than watching my son play college basketball. Thanks to Dr. Cushing, Mr. Leonard, and the wonderful administrative staff at Ottawa High School, I rarely ever miss a game. no matter where he's at in the Midwest or wherever they might be playing. He has a game tonight in Chicago, and I am here. That is how honored I am to be part of the 2024 induction class. I love Ottawa High School and everything it represents. When people come to Ottawa High, they think it's a small college. They are amazed how beautiful the courtyard is. Kingman Gym is my favorite, though, and I'm not afraid to brag about it. When the band belts out Jesus Christ Superstar, it sends shivers down my spine every time I hear it. I will put Kingman Gym up against any venue in the state. State champion music banners at one end, state athletic banners on the sides, and a decibel level other gyms only wish they could reach. I've learned a lot about the past from the many speakers who have graced this stage on a Hall of Fame night and spoke about their love for OHS. One of my most memorable stories comes when 2009 OHS Hall of Fame member R.C. Johnson, who was serving as the athletic director at the University of Memphis at the time, and he was sitting next to me. He received a phone call from John Calipari, who was the current coach at Kentucky, but he was the coach at Memphis at that time, with a question for R.C., and then he wished him good luck with the induction that night. The day of his induction ceremony was the same day Memphis was playing Tennessee at Memphis on CBS in what was the primetime game of the weekend in college basketball. I kind of turned to R.C. and said, how could you be in Ottawa, Illinois, when you were in charge of such a big national event that everybody was watching? He said, there is no way in the world I would ever miss an opportunity to come back to Ottawa High School to be honored with everything that school did for me. It was one of the many stories I hear every year about the love people have for good old OHS. Sometimes the rush of our everyday lives, we forget to take a step back and realize what a special place this is. I need to thank a few people who made this night possible. First, my wife, Tricia. She's been a saint. She was basically a single parent raising our son, and she did a great job. I'm not the easiest person to be married to. I practically live at the school most weeks. At one point in my life, I was coaching varsity football, I was the head girls basketball coach, and I was also the AD, all at the same time. That didn't leave a lot of home time. There are a lot of days I only see her right before we go to work. Some days we jokingly say, see you tomorrow, honey, or the next day if she's in bed early before I get home. To my son, Anthony, who couldn't be here tonight but loves this place, thank you for being such a good kid. When you attend school at a place in which your dad is an administrator, you are always under the microscope. I'm sure it cramped your style and messed up some things you already had planned, but you made it work. I miss the days of him running around the gym and sitting right behind me during games. Almost every regional championship and conference championship team photo has Anthony in it. A lot of them, he's either holding the plaque or he's got the game net around his neck. I really need to thank my mom and dad. If they were still alive, they would be here. The number of miles they put on the car traveling from Mendota to Ottawa 2 times a week was crazy. Who I am is because of them. They taught both Mark and I what it takes to be successful, hard work and commitment, and more importantly, how to treat people the right way. Sportsmanship was always at the top of my dad's list when it came to athletics. Rarely a day goes by that I don't think to myself, how would my dad handle this? I'm sure they both have a big smile tonight wearing their Ottawa sweatshirts. To my brother Mark, I'm so fortunate that Tom Yepes ran into Mark at the Peru Mall one day and offered him a job on the spot after he had taught a year at IVC. Mark was and is a great sounding board when it comes to discussing boys basketball, girls basketball, and life in general. I was lucky that my son Anthony got to play for him. We even coached football together for several years on the sophomore level, and we both still live to talk about it. Girls basketball. I couldn't start talking about girls basketball without mentioning the general, Pete Armstrong, who was my assistant for close to 15 years. We had so much fun together to go along with winning a lot of games. Pete was always there no matter what we were doing, summer, spring, open gyms, or scouting. Pete was at it all. A special thank you to Carradine for allowing Pete to be part of my basketball life. To this day, Coach Armstrong is beloved by his former players. The last couple of years I coached, we added Gordy Kirkman, who replaced longtime sophomore coach John Personette. The laughs the three of us had together will never be forgotten. I would also like to thank Marty Kuhn, who was my assistant for 3 years, and also spent many years as the head freshman coach. And my other coaches, Jeff Davis, John Personette, Glenn Weatherford, Jay Stortz, Craig Mueller, Brian Hebner, Sean Porter, Mark Lawn, and Kevin Linhart for the work they did while being on my staff. The success of a program at the lower levels, and I was blessed to have great lower level coaches. The 22 years I coached girls basketball were amazing. When Tom Yepes hired me to be the coach, I told him, I said, Tom, I'll do this for 1 year, then I want to get back into the boys program. So much for 1 year. When I took over the program, I didn't have an assistant. JP would help me during varsity games. The girls had to use the boys basketball locker room for halftime since the girls didn't have a place to call their own. They also changed in the bathroom in the hallway. Thanks to our great administration, it didn't take long for us to have the same opportunities that the boys had. We had great administrative support when I started, and we continue to have the same support these days. If you go to a girls' basketball game, you'll usually see 3 or 4 administrators at the game. Other schools can't say that. We had great players over the years, but even better parents who told their daughters to listen to the coaches and what we were trying to teach them. If I ever needed something, my parents would do it in a heartbeat. That is not always the case these days at other schools. I never had an attendance problem, especially in the summer. Most of the time, our issue was that we had too many kids showing up, which is a great problem to have. We won a lot of games because we outworked people. I challenged the girls both mentally and physically. We referred to it as MTXE, mental toughness and extra effort. I treated them just like our boys' coaches treated our boys. They loved being pushed because they knew in the end we would be successful. In the late 90s, we were starting to build momentum and wins. February 12, 1997, we played in front of the largest crowd to ever see a girls' game at Ottawa. Over 1,700 people showed up to see us win the conference championship against Dixon in a game that featured 2 teams ranked in the state. That was the start of a string of regional and conference championships. We were the team to beat in this area for 17 plus years, and it continues today. Along with winning, my favorite days were when we would have the team over for a team meal or celebrate Christmas at the house. Trish would spoil them like they were her daughters, and we would sit around and have good laughs. Anthony was young, and the girls were so good about including him in the activities. We developed some really good traditions over the years that we passed on from team to team. Some of those traditions are still used today with Coach Moore. To this day, when I see a former player, we always have a good laugh and talk about all the good times. I also coached football for close to 20 years. Tom Yepes was the head coach my first year, and he took me under his wing and taught me everything he could about the wing T offense. I was lucky enough to work with Dean Riley, Ralph Nelson, June Gross, Tony Morgan, and Ron Slack my first couple of years. That experience was invaluable. When Tom moved up the administrative ladder, his brother Tim Yepes took over the program. I spent the majority of my years working under Tim when he was the head coach. Tim and I became very close friends, and we won a lot of football games over those years. Winning was great, but the friendships and good times we had as a staff will never be forgotten. We still tell stories from 30 years ago, and each time we tell it, it gets funnier and funnier, and I get a bigger smile on my face. After teaching for 15 years, I took over as the athletic director, a job I always wanted since I was in high school. Vicki Grunstead was my assistant the first couple of years, and she taught me things I could never have learned otherwise. For the last 15 years, Jody Poundstone has been my assistant. She works miracles in my office, making sure everybody has what they need. Thank you to both Jody and Vicki for everything you did and continue to do. In closing, I want to thank Pirate Nation and the Ottawa community for taking a Mendota Trojan under their arms and making me feel so special. It has been a great place to work and raise a family. I'm sure I'll still be around attending as many games as possible, and hopefully still contributing to the great traditions of Ottawa High School. Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, it is my honor to be able to introduce now to you the 1996-1997 varsity girls tennis team. The 1996-97 girls varsity tennis team finished as the champions of the sectional NCIC conference and were undefeated in dual meets. They finished in a tie for 12th in the IHSA state tournament, which was then a single-class event. 5 Pirates from that team qualified for the state tournament, each making it through the first day of competition. The Lady Pirates finished the state tournament with 15 points. Kelly Harris in singles finished third and second with 3 points. Krista Herman and Morgan Veenstra were 3 and 2 for 4 points in doubles. And Stacy Harris and Kate Campaign finished at 6 and 2 for 8 points in doubles, earning all-state recognition, finishing in 9th through 12th place after being defeated in the main draw by the 1 and 2 seed from New Trier, and defeating Hinsdale Central, as well as the 5/8 seed from Barrington. Only 2 other downstate schools finished in the top 12. Champaign's Centennial in a tie for 6th, and Moline tied with Ottawa for 12th place. The team: Kelsey Bidzowski, Kelly Harris, Morgan Veenstra, Stacy Harris, Abby Kalatka, Kate Campaign, Susan Kleinmeyer, Angie Fleming, Janine Zeitlin, Krista Herman, head coach Tom Henderson, assistant coaches Steve Johnson and Tracy O'Fallon are a part of the team that's being inducted tonight. Please welcome to the stage, speaking for the team, teammate Stacy Harris.
Good evening. I would like to express on behalf of myself and the entire 1996-97 girls varsity tennis team how deeply honored we are to be inducted into the OTHS Hall of Fame. To be recognized by the OTHS community is very special. We would like to thank the OTHS Educational Foundation and the Hall of Fame Committee for this honor and for all the great work they do to benefit the OTHS community. We had a great group of girls on our team, and we all pushed each other to be the best we could and worked well together. I am very proud of all that we achieved as a tennis team. At the time we were playing, we were in a single class system and competing against the best teams in the state. Being a downstate school, we did not have all the extra advantages that the suburban schools had, like indoor courts and the abundance of teaching pros who were developing most of the best players in the state. In fact, during the bad weather months, we would often have practices in Love Gym and hit against a brick wall just to make sure we were still practicing and developing our skills. While we might not have had some of the advantages the suburban schools did, we didn't really see them as disadvantages, and collectively, as a team, figured out how to be competitive with some of the very best teams and players in the state. To illustrate this point, when I was a freshman, my doubles partner, who was a foreign exchange student from Denmark, and I played a doubles team at the state tournament who were from Lyons LaGrange and whose team as a whole were the defending state champions. Their school was also favored to repeat as team champions. To be honest, we were probably not as good as that doubles team we played, but we beat them anyway and certainly put a dent in their team's chances to defend their state title. Later that same day, my future doubles partner, Kate Campaign's older sister, Hunter Campaign, and her partner, Christy Vignali, who happens to be the daughter of Joe Vignali, who is another inductee on the stage with us tonight, played the #1 doubles team from LaGrange and beat them as well. That win resoundingly ended LaGrange's chance at a repeat of the state title. After Hunter and Christy's match had ended, one of the players from LaGrange we had beaten earlier in the day was overheard saying, "I don't understand this. I thought all these people lived on farms." Well, farms or not, I am enormously proud to be one of these people. The fact that we were able to compete with these teams, and we did, is a testament to the hard work and dedication of a few other previous OTHS Hall of Fame inductees. Tom Henderson, who was our head coach, and Lyle Gunther developed a robust city rec tennis program that introduced countless Ottawa kids to the game of tennis. They were competitive players themselves and encouraged their students to play USTA-sanctioned tournaments, which introduced many of us to some of the players that we would eventually be competing with at the state. Tom also had the foresight to recruit other area tennis players like Brad's dad, Dean Riley, to come and practice with us, which benefited us enormously. I would be remiss, and I think Morgan and Kate would agree, if I did not also give a special thanks to my dad, Don Harris, for all his time and effort practicing with the team almost every night, and also coaching especially Kate and myself throughout the season. We also need to thank our parents, or in the case of my cousin Kelly and I, our grandparents, for all their time and effort as well. It takes a lot of time and certainly miles traveled in order to compete with the best teams in the state, and our parents certainly sacrificed a lot of time driving us to tournaments and programs so we could play against the best players. During the season, we were often at tournaments around the state in places like Champaign, Rolling Meadows, Belleville, Peoria, and Bloomington. I can recall several times in Bloomington where we didn't get off the court until just before midnight and were back on the courts first thing in the morning. The amount of matches we played at these meets certainly were not easy, but it set us up for success. Tennis is an interesting sport. You don't often play one match, and that is it for the day. Many times it was grueling, with several singles matches followed by additional doubles matches on the same day or same weekend. Tennis as a sport teaches a lot about sportsmanship, teamwork, integrity, mental toughness, and as it turns out, life. As one of my favorite players of all time, Andre Agassi, said, "It's no accident, I think, that tennis uses the language of life. Advantage, service, fault, break, love. The basic elements of tennis are those of everyday existence because every match is a lifetime in miniature." Agassi went on to say, "It reminds me of the way seconds become minutes, become hours, and any hour can be our finest or our darkest. It's our choice." Again, we would like to thank the OTHS High School, the OTHS Educational Foundation, and the OTHS Hall of Fame for this wonderful honor and extend our sincerest congratulations to the other Hall of Fame inductees. Thank you.
Okay. We now welcome the 1969-1970 varsity football team. The 1969-1970 undefeated 9-0 Pirate football team under head coach Bill Novak won the NCIC Northeast title as well as the Lockport Invitational Football Tournament with 2 shutout victories. This Pirate team was ranked 8th in the state of Illinois by the Champaign News-Gazette. They averaged 40.6 points per game, allowing just 6.1 points for opponents. Over the course of the 9-game regular season, they defeated Morris 21-16, Mendota 34-8, LaSalle Peru 28-22, Dixon 24-6, Streeter 40-0, Kewanee 64-8, Sterling 42-8, Rochelle 58-0, Ottawa Marquette 54-6. In the Lockport Invitational Football Tournament, they defeated Lockport West 14-0 and Rich Central 12-0. Wally Kissenfager was selected to the Chicago Daily News and the Rockford Morning Star All-State team as a quarterback. Kissenfager was one of 7 Pirates named All-Conference. Other all-conference players were Tom Colburn, Mike Hoskinson, Jack Myers, John Melling, Colin Willis, and Dave Cruz-Berman. Willis was voted the team MVP and was co-captain along with Hoskinson. Hoskinson was the leading scorer and rusher, scoring 11 touchdowns and rushing for 666 yards. Kissenfeger passed for 1,109 yards and 13 touchdowns. Myers was the leading receiver with 26 catches for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. Here now to introduce the team and to talk more about this award-winning Hall of Fame inductee this evening is Colin Willis and Terry Gross.
I'm Terry. Colin will be up here in a second. Colin, we're holding up the show here between finishing this up and dinner, so we'll try to make it a little quicker. We'd like to congratulate all the 2024 OHS Foundation award winners, inductees. Congratulations to you. The 69 varsity football team is also very honored to be part of this Hall of Fame. And we'd like to say a special thank you to Sue McDonald, who coordinated this, and I was on the phone quite a bit with her back and forth. So you did a great job, Sue. Thank you. Unfortunately, we had 40 players on our football team and 4 coaches. And to start this off, it's not a positive note. It's unfortunate. We've got 12 players that aren't with us anymore. And all 4 coaches are deceased. And they're honored. They're with us tonight, either in spirit or with family members here or friends here. But it's pretty eye-opening when you've got 40 players and almost a third of the team is gone. But with that said, the era that we played in, 1969, 9-0, Joe Vignali was all worried about me yesterday. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? I said, how about 9-0, enough said. Say a little bit more, though. That era, Mr. Vancil talked about it earlier when he stopped to talk to us. Probably from 1959 to 1972, Ottawa won about 106 football games, and we lost 7. And that's an unbelievable record. We're honored to be the last team in the 60s to be undefeated. I think these guys are phenomenal guys, just great people, but at that time, we didn't expect to be in the Hall of Fame. We didn't expect to go undefeated. We just looked at the next game as we're going to be playing LaSalle next week. Mr. Novak, 25-year coach. You know, a lot of these guys had nicknames, you know, Skeeter and Viggy and Colby and Aaron and, you know, just like any other team, Acom, everybody's got something. I'm Leo. I don't know where that came from, but Mr. Novak, and I checked with Holly ahead of time. It's okay. His nickname was Boom Boom. And so there's a lot of Boom Boom stories, but the long and the short of it, I'm not going there tonight. He got us excited for the games. They mentioned all the games that we played, and Morris was the first game that we played that year, and Morris historically is a great team. And I don't think we were doing real well at halftime, and Tom Melody and I usually were the last ones out of the locker room and the last ones to, you know, leave the field and to make sure everybody's getting in. So as we're walking up to the locker room at halftime, and I think we might have been losing at half, a couple guys ahead of us says, "You can't believe what's going on in the locker room. These guys, coaches are going crazy in there." I looked over at Mel. I said, "Mel, you think we better put our helmets back on?" He said, "Probably a good idea." Well, we came through. Defense came through. We won that game. Next game, we played pretty well. LaSalle, Peru was rated state-wise, as we were, and we were playing them over there. Knew it'd be a big crowd, and I think after the second game of the year, we never practiced on Saturdays. And Boom Boom had us come in on Saturday morning, and I think all of us realized it was a pretty serious situation. You know, this is going to be a big game. And I think that whole week was probably the best practice, if I remember correctly, that we ever had. And Mr. Novak, I think, got us a little excited before the game. I don't know about you guys, but I think we could probably run through a wall for him at that night. I mean, we went out, we put it on him in the first half. Defense played extremely well the second half. We beat him. After that, I think our team just turned the corner. The best thing about it is the guys that didn't get to play a lot, the next 6 games got to play a lot. When you're up 4 or 5 touchdowns at halftime, everybody gets to play, and it's great. You know, when you practice every week and you know you're not going to be able to get in the game because it's going to be a close game, it's not fun. These guys, it was fun. It was fun for everybody. Our practices probably were harder than the games. Mr. Novak, boom, boom, he definitely made it interesting in practice. He definitely pushed us to the limit. Mr. Riley, phenomenal offensive coordinator, offensive coach. Mr. Nelson, you could never see him getting out of the ordinary. I mean, he was just even keel the whole time. If there was a problem, you go to Mr. Nelson, he'd get taken care of. Phenomenal coaches. Mr. Miller, same thing. You know, during that period, when Ottawa football was really a dominant force around here, a lot of people would say, well, how come they were so good? And I'd have to say, you know, in my opinion, I think the coaches, you know, from Mr. Vancil talked about the freshman level and the sophomore level, all of these people were committed to Ottawa football and coaching and getting kids better. The foundation for Ottawa football and the fundamentals came from the coaches. A lot of these guys that are sitting back here were 2, 3, and 4 sport athletes. Today, it isn't out there. You get into one sport and you're stuck. You're playing basketball, you're playing football, and that's it. Back in those days, you got a chance to play basketball. You got a chance to play baseball after your season was over, and I think that was a big difference in it. I think our team was always confident. It wasn't cocky. It was always just a confident air about us when we went out on the field. And, you know, if we needed 5 yards to get picked up, Hosky would get the ball, and we're up 5. Paul Vitoni would get the ball. We need, you know, Wally would throw a pass. We need to stop him defensively. Colin, Hosky, you know, Skeeter, the whole group, we'd get it taken care of. The fundamentals in practice made us a better team, and I think it carried forward the 25 years that Mr. Novak was the coach. You know, I think kind of in closing here, what actually did our team learn from being an undefeated team, a winning team, a Hall of Fame team? And I, you know, talked to everybody at different times in our lives, but just recently, and I think the success that we had as husbands, as fathers, as grandfathers, as business people, doctors, teachers, whatever line of work we were in, I think a lot of it came back to that 9-0 football team. The fundamentals, the basic, the discipline that we had to go through to get where we were, I think made us all better people. Discipline, I think, was the word that I would have to say Mr. Novak instilled in us, and that was probably why, in my opinion, we were 9-0. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Colin Willis, and I'm going to kind of stand this way because I want to talk to the team as I share a few comments as well. Carl and I were driving here from Colorado Springs, and I was thinking about what this means, this idea that we've been inducted into a high school Hall of Fame in just a little town in the Midwest. And I think one could walk away from that saying that's not a big deal. But I want to tell you, this is a really big deal. This means a lot to us. And I know on behalf of this team here, this football team, this really means a lot. But I also think that it speaks as much about the community as it does about any honoree on the team. This, for a community to take the time to highlight and just to honor its people is a big deal. And so I just want to thank everyone on the foundation and from the school for this honor. It's a big deal, and we really appreciate it. So I got a chance to spend some time with these guys. Listen, this is a football team that played 50 years ago. We haven't played football in 50 years. But I want to tell you something else. And all the stories I heard from Joey Vignali and Bob Reby and this gang right here, we're 50 times better this year than we were then. We're really good now. I'm telling you. We're a great football team. So, hey, if you wouldn't mind, I'd just like to reflect on a few things real quick. I know I'm the last speaker, so just it's only going to be 3 hours, so don't get all hung up on this. And I'd like to just focus, as I've been thinking about this, so many things came to my mind about what this means in our lives, right? But I want to focus on some small things, some very small things. And because it was kind of this attention to detail and these things that I'm going to talk about, 5 of them, are kind of representative of those. So if you'll just bear with me, 5 quick things. Here they are. I want to talk about ankle wrapping, the huddle, the powder blue jerseys, the 722 trap, and American flags. Okay, so very quickly, let me just talk to you about those, and then I kind of want to explain what that all means in my life. First of all, ankle taping. I was a lineman. My coach was Mr. Ralph Nelson, one of the greatest men on earth ever. Just a great man. It was a ritual. We'd meet before the game and on the training table, and I think he probably did this with, I'm sure he did with the linemen. I'm not sure who else got their ankles wrapped. And I'm not sure it was about the ankle wrapping, because I wore these big old high-top boots in football, but he wrapped our ankles. And at the time, he would wrap our ankles perfectly, and he would talk to us, and he would look at us in the eye, and he'd say, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" We'd rehearse the plays a little bit, but more than anything, he said, "You're ready. Now go do it." And I absolutely loved that time with my coach. Didn't realize that at the time, what was going on. But it wasn't about wrapping my ankles. It was about checking in. Was I ready to go? I loved that. The huddle. Okay, I wasn't good enough to play quarterback. I didn't have the hands of Terry Gross or the speed of Tommy Colburn or the kind of the toughness of Joey Vignali or Paul Vitoni, that gang. I was the center. They put me in the center of the line because that's about all I could do. So I was the center. And my job was simply to snap the ball and then to block. But I found out there's another job. The center gets to be the guy who sets the huddle, who gets to call, "Huddle up." And I thought that was more important than centering the ball. I love that part of the game. So I'd run after the play, I'd run over to the spot where I was supposed to be. I'd say, "All right, huddle up," and everybody huddled up on me. It was great. I love the huddle. I love the huddle. And we would gather up. We would get shoulder to shoulder. We had this, and by the way, Holly, this was as important to your dad as any play in the game. I mean, it kind of set the stage. We were all to huddle up. We'd do it perfectly. We would run back to the huddle, we would run from the huddle, and we would do, it was amazing. And this was important because it set the stage for the next play. We'd come back to the huddle, we would pat each other. Dave DeWalt would pat me on the back and say, great job, or he would yell at me because I missed a block, or whatever it was. And then we would reset, and Wally Kistenfager would call a play, and we'd get back up there, and then after that I'd say, all right, huddle up again. And it was awesome. The huddle was really important. Number 3, powder blue jerseys. Do they still wear powder blue jerseys?
You're off and on, yes.
Off and on.
Right.
I wore my powder blue. I could never figure that out. They would say something about the crimson and white is marching. How's that go?
Crimson and white is marching on.
Yeah, we're crimson and white marching on, and we'd run out in powder blue jerseys.
There was a sale on powder blue.
But that was special. That was a big deal to me, to be able to, as a young boy, growing up, to play football and getting to wear a high school football jersey, my number on it, and I think it said Pirates on the front, didn't it? Say Pirates? Okay. Just remember that, because I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. Powder blue jerseys. The 7-22 trap. Okay, that's a football play. And all it really meant was we're going to run right up the middle. There was some unique blocking in all of that, but the 7-22 trap became our basic play. Everybody in the conference, everybody in the state that we played knew that we were going to run the 7-22 trap. It was quarterback, I snapped the ball, quarterback would turn around, hand it to the fullback, there was some blocking going on, and we'd run right up the middle. And everybody knew that. But it became our basic play, and I loved the play because I felt like I was kind of a critical guy. I wanted to make that play happen. But it became the identity of our football team because it meant that we were coming at you. And it wasn't intricate, it wasn't complicated, it was simple, and we executed with utter passion. The 7-22 trap, remember that. American flags. The 1960s were a tough time. Those were some tough years in our nation, if you remember that. We'd gone through some assassinations. There was growing tension in the world. We were coming at the end of Vietnam. In fact, we were in the heavy part in the 66, 68 time frame of the Tet Offensive of Vietnam. It was a tough time, a very tough time. There was violence. There was it was a time of great disunity in our nation, right? There was a day when Coach Novak called some of the seniors in and said, we need to stand for something greater. And you know what he did? I don't know that I'd ever heard this. We may be the first to do that, but we got some American flag stickers and put them on our helmets. And on that time, we were standing for something greater than ourselves. Mr. Novak realized we were fortunate. He was a great man. He was an incredible coach. But I want to tell you what I loved about him. He was a patriot. He loved this nation. And he did not appreciate the things that were going on. He wanted to make a point to all of us on the team that this country is an incredible country. He loved that. So those are the 5 things I just want to talk about real quick again. Ankle tapings, the huddle, the powder blue jerseys, the 7-22 trap. You know, I do 2 things before I go to bed now. I pray and I rehearse the 7-22 trap. That's 50 years later. Now, I'm really good at that now, by the way. So I just want to tell you these things real quick from a different perspective. All those things were teaching us about football, right? But what I realized after 50 years that none of this was about football. It was about life. And I really appreciate that. Mr. Nelson wrapped my ankles because he cared for me. He taught me how to care for people. He taught all of us. Our coaches, from Mr. Novak, Mr. Riley, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Miller, they taught us how to care for people and to care for one another. They were great people, they were teachers, they were also great mentors. Can I tell you that Mr. Nelson became such an important person in my life? He checked on me for many years of my life. He even came to my daughter's wedding 35 years after we had graduated. So it was an incredible time then, and that meant a lot. He wrapped my ankles, but more than that, he cared for me and taught me in my life how to care for people. You see, it wasn't about football. It was about life. The huddle. The huddle taught me about teamwork. It made me realize, as I stood shoulder to shoulder with Dave Berman and with Dave DeWalt and the linemen, and we're all huddled up, we're huddled, we're tight. It taught me how much I need other people. Taught all of us that. We were huddled up with a mission, and we were going to accomplish it together. And I think it taught me that even today we need to huddle with each other. You know what we need more than anything is to just huddle up with our families. Call a huddle. Be the one who steps up and say, huddle up, family. We do that. It's the same with huddle up with our friends or huddle up with our coworkers. Huddling is a big deal. It's a great lesson I learned because you know what? It wasn't about football. That was a lesson about life. The powder blue jerseys. I still haven't figured out the powder blue jersey deal, but let me tell you what I do appreciate. I appreciated that none of us had our names on the back of our jerseys. Today I watch a lot of sports, and it seems to me it's all about the individual and who they are, right? Mr. Novak would not allow that. Mr. Novak realized we were all part of a team, and that taught me a real sense of humility, to be humble in that. My job was to serve everybody else. My job was to block for Tom Colburn. His job was to cover me in many cases. And I appreciated that. It wasn't about me, it was about the team. You see, this is not about football. This is about life. All right, the 7-22 trap. So what? It's just a football play. Well, let me tell you about that. That really taught me something about keep your life simple and execute it with utter passion. Design it to be simple and execute it well. Work hard at it. Find the toughest thing, focus your energy, focus your life, and go after it. Create an identity for you. It was for us, it became our identity, and identity is really important in life. Who you are matters. It creates the values you have. It sets the foundation for all of life. The 7-22 trap. You see, that's not about football. That's about life. And finally, the American flag. Mr. Novak he was an absolute incredible coach and a great man. He was tough. He was strong. But you know what I loved about him? He had some convictions and he stood on them. And I love that. He was a great patriot. He showed us how to live above the common level of life. And I really appreciated that. He stood for the values of our nation, and he was not afraid to say that. You see this thing with the American flags and the stickers on the back of our helmets, that wasn't about football. That was about life. So I just end up by saying I want to thank all of these guys, and we're going to introduce them if you don't mind in just a minute. I think these guys are 70 years old. I'm going to ask them to stand, and they've been sitting for like 8 hours, so let's. But can you give these guys just a round of applause? And I just want to, I'm so thankful for this team, and I'm so thankful for this school. I think most of us on this team walked away realizing how great this experience was in our time at Ottawa High School. I love the game of football, to be honest with you. But I'm much more thankful for the enduring values that I gained from playing football for this school, because you see, it wasn't about football, it was about life. So thank you very much. I'm going to, very quickly, I'm going to ask our guys to stand as I call our names. I'm going to just introduce the undefeated 1969-1970 football team. The head coach was Coach Bill Novak, deceased. Our line coach was Ralph Nelson. He's also deceased. Dean Riley was the offensive coordinator and our backs coach, deceased, and Larry Miller. Those were some great men, just incredible mentors for sure. Our manager was Bill Swinhagen. I'm going to introduce the juniors first, if I might. Youngsters. They're only like 71. Mike Amick, would you stand? Mike here. Scott Anders, who's deceased. Dave Brickert. Dan Isles. Congratulations, Dan. Rick Honer. Gail Landers. Dennis Leamy. Don Leipold. Pat Melody, who's deceased. Rick Miller. Harry Nangle. Bob Nevin. Dick Reimers. Bob Reeby. Brad Riley. Steve Schaefer. Everett Smith, who's deceased. Rod Smith. Jim Townsend. Joe Willett, who's deceased, represented. Brad Young, who is deceased. And now our seniors as well. Dave Berman, not here. Jerry Charbonneau, Skeeter. Tom Colburn. Dave DeWalt. Dave DeWalt, what a great guy. Gene Duffy. Guy Gillette. Terry Gross. Rick Hornbeck. Mike Hoskinson, who is deceased. Wally Kistenfager, who's deceased. Mark McConaughey. John Melling, who's deceased. Tom Melody, who's deceased. Jack Myers, son. Jack is deceased. Monty Monterstelli, deceased. Joey Vignali, and Paul Vittoni. Took them a while to stand up, but there they are. So once again, on behalf of the 1969-1970 Ottawa High School football team, thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so we are now going to close out this portion of our of our event. What I want to do right now is, can we just all give the inductees and their representatives that are here tonight on this stage, let's give them one last ovation. As we close, I want to leave you with the words that are on the Hall of Fame plaque on the 400 floor. From ordinary beginnings, many, through determination, commitment, effort, and high expectations, have accomplished the extraordinary. Thank you all for attending this portion of this evening's Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. On behalf of the Ottawa Township High School Educational Foundation, thank you. We hope to see you at future induction ceremonies. This concludes this part of the festivities. What we need to do now is I invite you all to make your way over to the Knights of Columbus Hall, and that's just a few blocks west on Main Street, for part 2 of our 2024 Hall of Fame induction ceremony and our celebration dinner. And we're also going to have the individual medal ceremony for the tennis team and the football team after dinner tonight. So I look forward to seeing you all over at the Knights of Columbus Hall. Thank you.